Hey everybody. I was just going through one of the Facebook cancer pages, and a, a topic keeps coming up about ringing the bell. And when you're stage 4, a lot of people associate ringing the bell like they're done with treatment. But I think it's really important for anybody who's ever had any type of cancer, and I know especially with breast cancer, personally, that just because they say there's no evidence of disease or NED, and you see you're only stage 1, 2, or 3, and there's your NED, it doesn't mean it can't come back. And every time I hear people say, or they don't hear them, but I see them say, "Oh, I'm done with treatment. I'm cured of cancer." I'm like, "Oh God, don't say that." There is no cure for cancer. There is only treatments that will either keep it away, keep it asleep, shrink it, put it into remission. Even if you're below stage 4, if they miss a single cell, and if they do a PET scan, they cannot see a single cell with cancer. It needs to be a cluster of more than a couple of millimeters before they could even see it in a PET scan. And MRI, people say, "Oh, I got an MRI, it's clear." I'm like, huh? No, a PET scans. A PET scan is what you need to see cancer. MRIs just show you shapes. It doesn't show you where the cancer is. It could be a cyst. It could be a bubble. Who knows? But PET scans show you areas of hypermetabolic activity, and that is indicative of cancer or inflammation, but typically cancer. So unless they've done a PET scan and you're under stage 4, and if they don't do a PET scan, then I'm telling you right now, you do not know what stage you are unless you've had a PET scan. I mean, when they did my original tumor, they did a needle biopsy on my tumor. It was like 2 centimeters, and they poked so many damn holes in that thing. I'm still angry about that, but it's in the past. What they can do about it. After poking 5 holes in it, and they left it in there to seed the rest of my body. Then they took it out took the whole breast out later, because I didn't want it in there, because I was like, "Wait, you're just leaving it in there? You punctured with a 2 millimeter sized harpoon of a needle, and you let it sit there and bleed inside of me for a month? No, take the whole damn boob off. I don't want it anymore." So, at that time I was stage 2A. I think it was 2A or B. They took out everything, cleared margins, cleared lymph nodes. I should have been cured, right? I said, "Oh, I'm cured, so I don't need PET scans. Oh, I don't need medications." 3 years later, I had it everywhere, except for the brain. So all you have to do is miss one freaking cell, people. Okay, I hate to burst people's bubbles, but if you don't catch this shit early, it will kill you. So unless you have had a PET scan and you have any type of cancer, especially breast cancer, don't let your doctor tell you that your cancer is gone. I'm going to call BS on that right now, because without a PET scan, you can't tell that. And even with a PET scan, like I said, the PET scan can only see as cancer cell if it's more than, I think it's more than a millimeter, which is pretty big for cancer. I mean, cells are really small. Okay? And it only takes one cell to start to multiply and divide, and then to send off little bits of itself to multiply and divide somewhere else. And that's called metastasis. All right? So, yeah, I made some mistakes in my early treatment, but you know what? I don't know if it would have made any difference, because I'm pretty sure I was stage 4 back then for how bad it was 3 years later. And it wasn't growing very fast. 3 years from that first diagnosis in 2012, I think it was. So, but now it's growing rather fast. So it's because it's a different type of tumor now. It's all the non-HER2 cells have been kind of killed off for the most part. So now it's only the HER2 cells that are left, and the HER2 cells grow fast. That's just their nature. That's what, it's I can't tell you the terminology for it, but they just grow fast. So for those of you ladies or men who ring the bell after getting your last treatment, quote unquote, please be diligent in getting yourself checked. Just because you think you're done now, if you ignore any signs or symptoms of your body, new aches or pains, that thing could get away from you, and then you're just fighting for time, just like me and a lot of stage 4 people. Every time I see people, oh, I ring the bell, I'm free, I'm like, oh God, I want to tell them, I want to be truthful with them, but I don't want to dash their hopes of life. I mean, how do you tell somebody that once you've had cancer, there's a good possibility it's going to come back in your lifetime? Maybe not right away, maybe not, sometimes it can say the cell could lodge somewhere where it's not getting fed a lot. Maybe it's just a cell that it is one of the types that doesn't grow very fast. But to say that you're completely cancer free, I mean, it does happen. If they catch it really, really like stage 0, and I mean, I guess, yeah, it's possible then. But once it's certain size and it's tapped into the bloodstream, like, to me, if it's got its own blood flow, you're pretty much guaranteed to be stage 4 at that point, or in the near future. So I don't know. I want to tell people, please just be cautious. Get that PET scan. Demand a PET scan. I was scared when I first got diagnosed. I didn't want a PET scan. Oh, it's radiation. It'll give me cancer. Well, guess what? I already had it everywhere. Who cares? At this point, I'm like, go ahead and irradiate me. I should be glowing by now. I've had, let's see, on average 3 PET scans a year for the last almost 5 years now. So 3 times 5 is 15 PET scans. And I'm still alive. So don't be afraid of that one little PET scan. It could be the difference between giving you a better prognosis on life, but like I said in my other earlier videos about choices with care and medications, is that I chose not to do a PET scan. I chose not to do the tamoxifen back then after my first initial diagnosis. I wanted to be under the illusion, and it was an illusion, that I was free of cancer since I had my boob removed, that I no longer have cancer. That's what I want to live. And for 3 years, it worked fine until I started fracturing ribs. And then that illusion disappeared. So for all of you men and women out there, especially those with breast cancer, because men can also get breast cancer, if you don't get a PET scan, you don't really know. So I urge you to make sure you've gotten at least one PET scan at the end of your treatment, or maybe 6 months after your treatment. And at 6 months, nothing's still there and you're just on basic hormone therapy, beautiful. I say maybe PET scan maybe once a year just to make sure. But the PET scan, I believe, is the best way to determine whether or not you have actively growing cancer. Because the tumors like sugar, and the radioactive sugar they inject you with for PET scans goes right for the cancer. All right? Well, the cancer sucks it up, but also does the heart, and it's, it shows up in the other parts I've explained in my previous videos on how to read a PET scan. Well, not how to, but how I read the PET scans. But without that PET scan, some people do the CA2729. There's another blood test. That doesn't always give you the truth. There's a lot of doctors who refuse to use them because they don't always give you an accurate picture of what's happening with the cancer. Is it gone? Is it coming back? Because those numbers can represent other things, and I can't remember what they are. But anyway, that's why my doctor doesn't even use them. Actually, my last couple of doctors haven't used it. They've used PET scans, and I've got them all. You can almost make a cartoon of how it's changed over the last, 5 years. But anyway, I just wanted to say, if you are not a stage 4 person, please don't ignore the fact that you could become one at any time. And I want you to make sure you get those PET scans. Let's get one, at least at the end of your treatment. If there's even a glimmer of a possibility, then you need to be aware of that. because you might change your life choices based on your cancer diagnosis. There's things you might do differently, and it really shouldn't affect that, but it does. We should all live life like tomorrow's our last day or this is our last year. But we all don't. We all say, oh, I have another 20, 30, 50 years. I'll just do it then. Yeah, that no one's guaranteed next day. Nobody. Even the healthiest person on the planet is not guaranteed tomorrow. They could be killed, they could be run over, they could be in a car accident, they could be in a plane crash. Anything can happen. So anyway, please be careful with your health. Don't be overly aggressive with treatment, but because once you're stage 4, it's more of a marathon than a sprint. You want to make it go on for as long as possible. So you don't want to burn through your treatments. As one seems to quit working. Oh, let's switch treatments right now before it grows again. No. It's okay. It's okay to let it grow just a little bit, to make sure it's not just something else going on. Because I did that every time, and I saved myself a year and a half on the same treatment because it was something else. It wasn't cancer that was growing in my lymph nodes at that time. But, if you're stage 4, just pace yourself, because there's only so many treatments that we have access to at this time. And if you burn through all those treatments, your cells will become resistant to every treatment that's out there, and then basically your time is very limited. But if you pace yourself with your treatments and you let the cancer kind of grow a little bit in hopes that the next treatment that you do will knock it back down. So every time you can postpone the change of treatment even 3 months, that could be a whole year later down the line that you wouldn't have had if you'd rushed through your treatments. So something else to keep in mind. But again, ringing that bell, every time I see people say I'm cancer free after ringing that bell, I get this knot in my stomach, just like I almost feel like throwing up, because I know that's not always true for everybody. There's a lot of people who it does come back for, and it shatters their world when they get that second call year later. Oh, it's cancer, it's back, and it's metastasized. Now you're stage 4, and they're like, what do you mean? I was cleared. So if you're not stage 4 and you've rung that bell, just stay on top of it. Get it checked every 6 months, just to make sure. I mean, if you're stage 0, maybe you can get away with not checking it quite so frequently. But if you're stage 1 or 2, 3, especially if you're stage 3, I'd be especially careful, because that means that it was spread to a lymph node. And if it's spread to a lymph node, to me it's very suspicious that it could have metastasized already and it's not showing up yet. So anyway, another nice long video. But if you think these videos are helpful, please do share them. And I only make these videos to help other people and hopefully help them on their journey, make the best of their time that we have left. Someday maybe I'll give you a little tour of my place. You always see my little living area here. It's so exciting, right? I'm always wearing the same white t-shirt. That's really exciting, but that's just, I'm a white t-shirt and blue jeans kind of gal. It works when you're outside, especially in the summertime, because it's hot, Anyway, take care of you guys. I worry about you out there. Just take care of yourselves. Find your happiness, share your happiness, and make memories worth sharing. Bye-bye.